isolation, skulls hanging from trees, silent but deadly weapons. These may sound like things of the past, but they're a living reality in most parts of the world. There are tribes that see outsiders as enemies, with ancient customs that rule every aspect of their lives. Today, we're going to look at the scariest tribes you wouldn't want to meet. Being away from civilization, these tribes have devised ingenious ways and weapons to protect themselves. The Korowai Tribe. For most of us, the idea of cannibalism feels like something ripped from a horror movie. But for the Korowai Tribe, deep in the jungles of Indonesian New Guinea, it's just another part of life. Forget about the idea of a Sunday roast. Here, some unfortunate soul might become the main course.
It's just normal. I don't feel sad or anything like that.
While many tribes have remained untouched by modern society, the Korowai's reputation for cannibalism has attracted outsiders since the 70s. Though some villages downstream have started to adopt more civilized customs due to Western influence, the further upriver you go, the more you're risking a deadly encounter. The Korowai who remain isolated aren't too keen on visitors, and it's rumored that unwelcome guests may never leave, at least not in one piece.
Korowai sama. Yeah, he's scared. Scared with easy to another people and other tribes.
Cannibalism was a practice among prehistoric humans and lingered into the 19th century in some isolated South Pacific cultures, such as Fiji. Today, however, the Korowai are among the last few tribes on Earth still believed to practice it. It's tied to their belief in witchcraft and evil spirits. The deeper into the rainforest one ventures, the less contact the Korowai have had with other cultures. They live in a world where demons are very real, and being accused of witchcraft could seal your fate. The Korowai believe that anyone possessed by kakua, or demon, must be killed and consumed to rid the community of evil.
In Korowai, sometimes I took the one woman from another village, take run away. The another guy and that who's one of the women, they will come and kill me.
It's punishment.
It's punishment.
To them, it's more than just a meal. It's a spiritual duty. The fear of these spirits runs so deep that even fatal illnesses are blamed on dark forces. They live about 100 miles inland from the Arafura Sea, the location where Michael Rockefeller vanished in 1961 while collecting artifacts from another Papuan tribe. But what's scary is that his body was never found, and the Korowai's remote location keeps fueling theories that this fate was far darker than anyone could have imagined. Dutch missionaries who attempted to convert the Korowai in the late 1970s described their experience there as the hell in the south. Witchcraft is still a big aspect of the Korowai's beliefs. Although Christian missionaries have been active in the region since the late 70s and have converted some Korowai to Christianity, much of the tribe still clings to their ancient beliefs. Witchcraft, ancestral spirits, and reincarnation are central to their way of life, and stepping into their territory is like entering a place where time and terrifying rituals have stood still for centuries. The Chimbu Tribe. Black ash smeared across their skin with white bone-like patterns glowing under the faint light of Papua New Guinea's jungles. The warriors of the Chimbu Tribe from Mount Hagen are unlike anything you've ever seen before. This is Sing Sing, a ritual once used to strike fear into their enemies at first sight. The skeletal figures would represent restless spirits coming out from the underworld, ready to unleash chaos on rival tribes. Their slow, deliberate movements and hollow-eyed stares were enough to scare even the bravest of warriors. No weapons needed, just the primal terror of facing what looked like the living dead. They'd break enemies from the inside out without ever laying a hand on them. Even now, one look can terrify visitors during cultural festivals like the Mount Hagen Festival. The colors might look inviting, But don't be fooled. The Chimbu people have a dark history of warfare, and their traditions are all based on ancient rituals for survival. Every feast, ritual, and dance has a story of power, intimidation, and unbreakable bonds behind it. These people didn't just survive out here by chance, they had to be brutal. The land is harsh in the villages of Mount Hagen, with thick mist surrounding the area. So they had no choice but to adapt and become so strong that they could keep rival tribes at bay. Outsiders who stumble across their territory have to really watch their step. The tribe didn't just preserve its traditions, they weaponized them. Meeting them on a day other than their yearly festival could very well be the last thing you'd ever experience. The Sentinelese. Hidden away on North Sentinel Island in the Andaman Sea, the Sentinelese are one of the last tribes on Earth completely untouched by the modern world. And from the looks of it, they plan to keep it that way. They've lived in isolation for thousands of years, defending their territory from any outsider dares to approach their island. Their message is clear every time: stay away or face deadly consequences. The Sentinelese are no strangers to using force. They are experts at archery, spear combat, and stones, which means they won't hesitate to defend their home with brutal efficiency. Their precision and readiness make them a serious threat, even if you had technologically advanced weapons. You can't beat savagery with technology because these people will die defending their territory. Their violent encounters with outsiders are pretty well documented. 2 fishermen unknowingly ventured too close to the island and were killed in 2006. Attempts to recover their bodies were met with arrows that forced helicopters to retreat. The tribe's fast and lethal response sent a clear message to anyone foolish enough to come near. There was a large number of them, but there was no reaction or resentment from them. We went about a kilometer inside the forest. They did not come face to face with us, but rather hid in the forest, watching us. After some time, we came upon a large area of forest cleared for a camp. There were 18 small huts with little fires burning in front of each, fenced off with sticks. Over the years, adventurers, missionaries, and explorers have all tried to break the tribe's isolation, with deadly results. In 2018, American missionary John Allen Chow ignored repeated warnings and attempted to reach the island to spread Christianity. But his efforts ended violently, and he paid the ultimate price when the Sentinelese met with the same hostility that has kept them safe for centuries. Understanding the risk outsiders pose to the island, the Indian government decided to ban all travel to the island because contact with the modern world has rarely ever ended well. Isolation isn't just a choice for the Sentinelese, though, because one interaction with an outsider could wipe out their entire population. So isolation is pretty much their lifeline. Their aggressive stance isn't born out of cruelty, but out of the instinct to survive. This is why North Sentinel Island is one of the few places on Earth where you wouldn't want to have any form of contact. Legendary Night Marchers, a ghost story. The stuff of nightmares, the deadly ghosts of ancient tribal warriors, the Huaka'ipo, or spirit ranks.
The Night Marchers? They're here to protect the King's Trail. If you come across them, 1 is to lay down bare naked. 2, don't ever look them into the eyes.
Are more than just a myth out of the islands of Hawaii. They are the first line of defense for the sacred king. They come in the dark of the night for their enemies, carry out a coordinated attack, and disappear into the night. These warriors are believed to be tied to Hawaiian gods, or those sacred to Kanaloa, the ocean deity. They march with purpose, rising from burial grounds or emerging from the sea towards battlegrounds and sacred sites. Their legend has been passed down through generations, surviving the arrival of missionaries and many different cultures over the years. They've been seen by people from all walks of life, and while they have been called multiple names, it all boils down to one thing: you never see them coming. By their very nature, you'll never encounter just one night marcher. A lone warrior is called a lapu, a mere ghost. But the Night Marchers are a terrifying army of the dead that marches as one. If you happen to be in their path, you'd better run. If it's too late to run, the only chance of survival is to lay flat on the ground, cover your head, shut your eyes, and pray, hoping that an ancestor among the deceased will claim you as their own. If you're lucky, you'll hear the word Nau and may be spared. But if no ancestor speaks for you, your fate is sealed, and you may hear Oya. Let him be pierced. They are beyond ordinary. Dressed in traditional warrior garb and armed with clubs and spears, drums echo in the distance, conch shells scream, and the warriors move in complete silence. They don't leave a single footprint or ripple in the water because they don't walk, they hover, as if they are suspended between the worlds of the living and the unalive. Their march begins after the sun sets, and this continues until the first light of dawn. There are rare instances when they appear during daylight, but this happens only when escorting a dying relative to the spirit world. One of the most frightening part of their legend is the belief that anyone who dares to look directly at them will meet a bitter end. Their presence isn't just unsettling, it's deadly. The Aghori. If you ever find yourself along the banks of the Ganges River in Varanasi, turn around and run because you wouldn't like what you see. Covered in ash, chanting and practicing black magic, the Aghori are a haunting sight. The Aghori sect isn't your typical religious group. They are something far more disturbing. They're not exactly a tribe, but their rituals and lifestyle are enough to make your skin crawl. Found mainly in India, these Hindu ascetics take devotion to Lord Shiva to an unsettling extreme, embracing practices most would find horrific. The Aghori believe that to reach spiritual enlightenment, you must transcend societal taboos, and they take this belief to a whole other level. The stories you hear about them are all true. The Aghoris perform rituals surrounded by death itself. Their connection to the dead is literal. They meditate on corpses, cover themselves in the ashes of the cremated, and even use human skulls as bowls. That's right, they drink and eat from the remains of the deceased, blurring the lines between the sacred and the morbid. They claim these rituals give them power, curing diseases, transcending the human experience, and even breaking the cycle of life and death.
I'm telling only 10 minutes. You pray to God, leaving you all thinkings. Only sit God and close your eyes. Only see God.
But what's even more unsettling is their cannibalistic tendencies. While most say it's symbolic, the fact that they engage with death so closely makes you wonder just how far they go. Their notorious reputation isn't just because of their appearance, but also because of their willingness to cross lines that most wouldn't even think of. They embrace their barbaric nature because it's the key to breaking free from existence itself. They see no difference between clean or dirty, sacred or inappropriate. They find power in it, and they aren't afraid to show it. Yet, they are also secretive, to the point that those who dare to step into their world don't get far, and those who do leave traumatized, like the reporter who questioned their rituals.
Pretty sure that's not the Aghori that I was looking for.
The terrifying nature of the Aghoris challenges everything you think you know about life and death. Their way of life is scary enough to haunt anyone who crosses their path. The Chukchi Tribe. This tribe isn't just surviving in one of the world's harshest environments, they're thriving. They live deep in the icy, unforgiving Arctic regions of Russia, a place where most societies wouldn't last a minute. But what's truly fascinating about these people is that they're the only ones that resisted and survived Russian conquest. For centuries, wave after wave of Russian soldiers tried to break, only to be driven back by the unforgiving landscape and the relentless spirit of the Chukchi. They have developed a deep connection to the unforgiving land they call home, mastering reindeer herding, hunting, and fishing, using one of the most brutal environments on Earth to their advantage. While other tribes rely on sticks and stones, they use the freezing atmosphere as their weapon. But perhaps the most scary thing about them is their isolation. While the modern world has encroached on almost every corner of the world, the Chukchi still live by many of their old traditions. Their legacy as fierce warriors who repelled invaders for generations makes them one of the most intimidating tribes you definitely wouldn't want to meet.
Пыркату 10 лет, он не умеет держать узду, и олени кружат. Крутят.
The Yaefo Tribe. The Yaefo Tribe lives in the dangerous jungles of Papua New Guinea, in a place so remote it can take over a month to reach. The journey with crocodile-infested waters alone is enough to make most want to turn back. This isolation has kept them untouched by the modern world, preserving ancient traditions few outsiders have ever witnessed, like weaponizing their women. It makes sense, too, because the Yaefo women are small and nimble. They can move through the dense jungle without making a sound and blend into their surroundings without being noticed. These women use stealth to keep constant watch on outsiders, always hidden, always observing. This gives the tribe a critical advantage, allowing them to stay one step ahead of anyone daring enough to approach. The men, on the other hand, are so agile that it's supernatural. They are known to run between treetops with ease and navigate the jungle canopy as if it were solid ground. As you might imagine, this makes tracking them nearly impossible. They vanish before you even realize they were there, and this leaves intruders vulnerable. But what makes them so dangerous is their brutal tradition of headhunting, similar to the Asmat Tribe, which we're getting to next. They collect skulls, but instead of hiding them away, they display these trophies as warnings to outsiders that trespassing on this land comes with the ultimate price: your life. If you're thinking of giving the Yaefo a visit, keep this in mind. Outsiders are never welcome in their world, and they'll spot you long before you do. The Asmat Tribe. In the remote swamps of Papua New Guinea, the Asmat Tribe is the living embodiment of terrifying traditions. If you ever find yourself in their territory, be prepared for an encounter that will make your skin crawl. The meaning of their name is contested. While some suggest it means man from tree, their neighbors, the Mimika, claim it actually translates to man-eater. However, the Asmat themselves refer to their people as Asmat Au, or real people. This tribe is divided into 12 groups, spread across over 100 villages in an area that is unexplored. But for good reason, since nobody wants to step in the territory of a man-eating tribe that is also great at hunting. The Asmat have lived in isolation from the Western world for centuries until the 1970s, when missionaries introduced them to metal tools like knives and axes. Before this, their tools were primarily made from available natural materials. So, basically, the missionaries made hunting men easier for them. Great. Up until the 1980s, demonstrating one's allegiance to the tribe involved killing an enemy, supposedly from their new and improved tools, whose head would then be prepared and consumed. This ritual is believed to transfer the deceased's power and skills to the killer. They also use premature as an excuse to seek revenge and headhunt some more. The Asmats practice headhunting like Yaefo, but the Asmat collect the heads of their enemies and display them in their homes as trophies, and some even use them as pillows. For the Asmat, these heads are vital elements of their rituals. Their method of naming is equally intense. To earn a name, an Asmat must kill someone. Before they get their first kill, the children remain nameless until they prove their worth by hunting and killing an enemy. This is because their tribe values strength and bravery, where achieving recognition is directly connected with acts of violence. Their strategic approach to warfare involved building their homes near rivers, allowing them to carry out surprise attacks on enemies and collecting their heads as new pillows for bedtime. Post-consumptions, parts of the human body like lower jaws were worn as trophies too, which signaled to others that the wearer is strong and not to be messed with. Beyond this, the Asmat's culture also practices dark, complex ceremonies. Their art, including detailed wood carvings and masks, plays an important role in their rituals. These carvings usually represent ancestral spirits and are used in ceremonies to engage with the spiritual world in bizarre ways. In short, steer clear of a tribe that could possibly end your life and collect your head as a trophy necklace, pillow, or food for the whole village. The Korubo. The Korubos, nicknamed the Clubbers, from the western Amazon of Brazil, are a living nightmare you do not want to encounter. These warriors rely on clubs and poison-tipped darts that are far more brutal than any modern weapon. If you cross paths with them, there's no coming back. But they aren't just a threat to outsiders. The Korubos are as ruthless with their own people as any other. In their eyes, weakness is a death sentence, no matter who you are. If someone falls sick or is seen as a burden, they're eliminated with no second chances, no sympathy. It's a primal code that keeps their numbers tight and keeps their people strong. The tribe itself isn't one united group, though. It's split into two factions. One group of around 23 people tried to make contact with the outside world, but the other of around 150 people turned their backs on that idea and chose to stay isolated. Life in the Amazon is a constant struggle, not just against predators, but against diseases like malaria, which take more lives than anything else. Even though the Korubo are great at hunting down prey, all that doesn't protect them from disease, which is why they choose to stay isolated. So, it doesn't matter if you're an outsider or a tribesman for the Korubo, show any sign of weakness and you're done for. And if you're unlucky enough to cross their path, you better hope you can outrun their poison-tipped darts, because they won't give you a second chance. Asaru Tribe. A dense fog sweeps over the lush mountains of Papua New Guinea's highland jungle, muting even the calls of the exotic birds. It's as though the jungle itself senses the approaching presence of the Asaru mudmen. As they draw near, all the stories become reality. Fear grabs hold of you and your senses start to blur. Then, the first Asaru mudman emerges from the fog. They materialize from the jungle like a slow-moving wave. Their movements mimic a ghost, their bodies coated in gray mud with frightening masks. One moment, a mudman appears at the jungle's edge, and then he vanishes. Was he ever really there? The Asaru mudmen are both the poorest and the most feared warriors of Papua New Guinea. Smeared from head to toe in white clay, they march in a single file, moving at a slow pace. Their bodies are slim like bowstrings, constantly alert. Some have bows with arrows, others hold spears and clubs. Some mudmen have sharp, long fingers like a monster. Armed with clubs, their movements portray that they could indeed be ancient spirits. But as you focus on their haunting appearance, you realize that the one mudman was just a distraction, and suddenly, a dozen or more of them surround you. The fear of spirits, ghosts, cannibalism, and sacrifice in Papua New Guinea is pretty much universal to scare off intruders. Legend has it that the Asaru were once driven from their land by a rival tribe and retreated to the Asaru River. When they emerged, coated in thick white mud, their enemies mistook them for vengeful spirits and fled in terror. The Asaru used this fear to their advantage, creating terrifying masks and movements designed to mimic spirits. Like the Chimbu Tribe, the Asaru participate in the Sing Sing festival too. Their unique dance involves covering themselves in white mud, with the leader wearing a haunting mask made of tar and leather. They wear traditional belts of rope and feathers, and the leader wears a mask made from cassowary feathers. They arm themselves with spears and stand in formation, bounding up and down in imitation of a bird of paradise. The majority of Papuan tribes have a war cry, but some Asaru, like the Namasaro, call upon the spirit of birds by making quiet noises. Meanwhile, the Asaru mudmen focus more on the art of intimidation. Today, the Asaru mudmen are among the most famous tribal cultures in the world. They have preserved their fierce warrior image through generations and made them symbols of their nation. If you had to meet one of these tribes in real life, which one would you pick? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching today's video. We'll see you in the next one.